Hello everyone, my name is Tom and I am a believer from Finland. Some of you might have seen my previous videos that I have made about Russia, Ukraine, Eastern Europe and the information war that Russia wages. In this video I would like to talk about the fact that quite many Westerners have argued that it was the United States that blew up the Nord Stream pipelines, and that this is a very, very problematic stance. Especially believers need to be aware of that this idea that the United States would have been the player who blew up these pipelines, that this idea is actually deception. I have a map here. I want to use it to argue why it wasn't the United States that blew up these pipelines. We have to understand that the United States and Europe is cooperating when it comes to security and defense. These countries form a group of countries that have been cooperating for decades. The United States has military men, weapons and weapon systems on European soil. I don't have an overview how this looks like, but everyone knows that United States is present in Europe. It is also worth to mention that it's quite strange that many are willing to uncritically and very quickly blame a democracy when it comes to such an sabotage. Why blame a democracy for that when there are so many evil players in our world? Then we have what is happening behind the scenes, and its intelligence. These countries are also working closely with each other when it comes to intelligence. They share intelligence with each other. Close cooperation. So it's not logical to automatically blame the United States for what happened with these pipelines. I have a few articles and 2 Twitter threads and a writing on Facebook. I will show them here. First of all, about Estonian intelligence. Here is an article from this Finnish news site. They are writing an article that is based on an Estonian article. This is from a weekly newspaper, Eesti Express. Eesti Express is interviewing the outgoing Director General of the Estonian Foreign Intelligence Service. Here is the article in Estonian, but it is behind a paywall, so it's not possible to read it with Google Translate. But Holger Runemaa, the journalist that interviewed this intelligence general, director general of this intelligence service, wrote this thread on Twitter. Here is the most important section. He very carefully chose his words when I pressed him about Nord Stream. He said that Estonian intelligence were aware of such risk of sabotage. Then we have this guy. This is a very important thread. I read it now. I have seen a lot of tweets on the Nord Stream leak suggesting the West NATO did it. If this was the case, there are some serious political implications. Firstly, this would mean that the Danish government agreed to allow a sizable environmental disaster in its exclusive economic zone. Very important perspectives. This would have been agreed by a Danish government that campaigns on wanting to turn Denmark into a green superpower focused on sustainable energy and the environment. If this happened, it would be the riskiest move ever in Danish politics for no immediate gain. Logical reasoning, isn't it? If this agreement got leaked, it would completely destroy not only the current government, but the entire Social Democrat Party, largest party in Denmark. The other option, being that Denmark did not agree, opens up a whole different can of worms. This would mean that this was done inside the Danish exclusive economic zone, without their knowledge by an allied nation. That would be a surefire way to create a massive amount of internal tension within NATO and Europe, again for no immediate gain. And the rest of the thread is here. I will link it in the description section. These are perspectives overlooked, ignored by those who blame the United States for what happened. Blaming the United States like this is so simplistic and very superficial. And it is not based on reasoning at all. Then we have Sofi Oksanen, a famous Finnish writer who has a lot of knowledge about Russia. And when it comes to analysis, she's brilliant. I will read parts of this writing. Some of you have wondered, why on earth would Russia destroy its own infra? The question itself is the answer. All eyeballs on the gas pipe and national security means that the attention is drawn to something else than Ukraine. And then she continues, if a country is willing to kill its own citizens the way Russia does, why infra would be some special exception? If Putin is okay with using terrorist attacks against Russia's own citizens, why infra would be such an impossible idea? Remember how he rose to power, by blowing up apartment buildings and claiming it was a terrorist attack. And she continues, Russia is not good at waging conventional war. It's best at hybrid operations and hybrid war. Sometimes psychological impact is worth all the money burned. Now it obviously is. And then, wait a minute. Yes, I picked this last point here. Last but not least, in the West, we think it's insane to blow up your flagship business, which was to attract enterprises to do business with Russia. But Putin is almost 70. His tombstone project is not to restore economical ties with the West. Who would remember that in 100 years? Nobody. His tombstone project is to restore Russia's might, which equals with the fear of Russia. In that game, pipes can go. Yes, desperate this might, but not insane. These articles and these tweets and this writing on Facebook show and prove that the world is complicated. And it's so easy to go with the flow. And automatically believe that it was the United States that was behind this. There is much, much, much more to consider. And we are in a dangerous situation. There is so much information out there. And we, as followers of Jesus, we know that there will be deception in the end times. We have to be cautious. And we have to be very careful what kind of information we trust. Here is another article. They are quoting from Business Insider. It was a relatively inexpensive way to send a very informative signal to the West. Should we expect these things to continue? Absolutely. The more degraded Russia is in terms of its conventional military, the more it will double down and rely on non-conventional tools. This is the article from Business Insider. This is a war, and the epicenter of it is in Ukraine. Russia has attacked and invaded Ukraine. Russia has taken Ukrainian territory. And Russia wages an information war. I talked about this in my previous video. This is a war, a battle, and it is larger than only going on in Ukraine. This is a new situation for us all and for the whole world. Russia is playing an advanced game. They know what they are doing. They are masters in this. And we as believers need to know this. And as I have stated in my previous videos, there are other evil players in our world, and it is likely that they are learning from Russia. Here is one more article. There is one important thing here. A testament of the effectiveness of this narrative is that according to the US think tank CEPA, 63% of 500,000 analyzed tweets that mention Nord Stream blame the US, while only 10% blame Russia. Read that once again, or even twice. This is where the Western world is. This is information war. This is information war. All the alarm bells should sound. Back to this Business Insider article. Prior to Putin's speech announcing the annexation last week, during which he claimed that Anglo-Saxons were responsible for the pipeline blasts, Russian state news was zeroed in on blaming the US for the Nord Stream leaks. This argument is specious, part of a very well orchestrated international propaganda campaign, but designed to fuel anti-Western, anti-US rhetoric inside Russia and in other regions more suspicious of US agency in the world like India and Africa, Cynthia Hooper, a history professor and Russia expert at the College of the Holy Cross, told Insider. So, they have blamed Anglo-Saxons and the US. This is a tweet from today, 11th of November. IRGC chief Salami. This is in Iran. White House is behind all these riots. Those sitting in palaces made of glass in Riyadh, Tel Aviv, New York, and Paris are orchestrating riots in Iran. They want a dependent Iran with no religion, but they must know Iranians are the ones who build their fates. I will put these links into the description section of this video. Please check them, and you are free to use. I make these videos for the body of Christ. You are free to use them if you run into a situation where people are confused when it comes to these things. And you can make your own videos also if you want, or write texts, or write something on Facebook or somewhere else if you think it is needed. We as followers of Jesus need to be aware of this, and we have to see what is happening in our world. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.